The Akan are a nation and indigenous ethnic group residing on the Gulf of Guinea in the southern regions of the Gold Coast region in what are today the republics of Ghana and the Ivory Coast in West Africa. Akans are the largest ethnic group in both countries and have a population of roughly 20 million people. Akans are not a racially homogeneous ethnicity and they encompass a range of phenotypes. The Akan language is a group of dialects within the Kwa branch of the Niger-Congo language family. Also included under the term Akan are the Bia languages. Subgroups of the Akan proper include, Ashanti, Akwapam and Akyem, Igona, Kwahu, Wassa, Fante and Brong. Subgroups of the Bia-speaking groups include, the Anyin, Baula copyright, Chakosi, Sefwi, Nzema, Alanta and Jwira Papiza. The Akan subgroups have cultural attributes in common, notably the tracing of descent, inheritance of property, and succession to high political office. Origin and ethnogenesis. The Akan people are believed to have migrated to their current location from the Sahara Desert and Sahel region of West Africa into the forested region around the 6th century, and many Akans tell their history as it started in the forested region of West Africa, as this is where the ethnogenesis of the Akan as we know them today happened. Oral traditions of the ruling Abraid clan relate that they originated from ancient Sudan. As a result of the introduction of Islam in the western Sudan, and the zeal of the Muslims to impose their religion, their ancestors left for Kong. From Kong they moved to Wam and then to Dorma. The movement from Kong was necessitated by the desire of the people to find suitable savanna conditions since they were not used to forest life. Around the 6th century, they moved from Dorma southeastwards to Twyfo Himang, northwest Cape Coast. This move was commercially motivated. The Kingdom of Benin was established as early as the 11th century, and between the 12th and 13th centuries a gold boom in the Akan area brought wealth to numerous Akans. During different phases of the Kingdom of Benin, groups of Akans migrated out of the area to create numerous states based predominantly on gold mining and trading of cash crops. This brought wealth to numerous Akan states like Okwamu, and ultimately led to the rise of the most well-known Akan Empire, the Empire of Ashanti, 1700 to 1900, the most dominant of the Akan states. History. From the 15th century to the 19th century the Akan people dominated gold mining and trading in the region and, from the 17th century on, they were among the most powerful groups in West Africa. This wealth in gold attracted European traders. Initially the Europeans were Portuguese but, eventually the Dutch and British joined in the quest for Akan gold. Akan states waged wars on neighboring states in their geographic area to capture people and sell them as slaves to Europeans who subsequently sold the enslaved people along with guns to Akan states in exchange for Akan gold. Akan gold was also used to purchase slaves from further up north via the trans-Saharan route. The Akan purchased slaves in order to help clear the dense forests within Ghana. About a third of the population of many Akan states were enslaved people. The Akans went from buyers of slaves to selling slaves as the dynamics in the Gold Coast and the New World changed. Thus, the Akan people played a considerable role in supplying Europeans with slaves for the transatlantic slave trade. Ghana later apologized to the descendants of slaves for the role some of its people may have played in the slave trade. Akan people, especially the Ashanti, fought against European colonists to maintain autonomy, including many Anglo-Ashanti wars, the War of the Golden Stool, and other similar battles. By the early 1900s all of Ghana was a colony or protectorate of the British while the lands in the Ivory Coast was under the French. On March 6, 1957, following the decolonization from the British under the leadership of Kwame Nkrumah, the Gold Coast was joined to British Togoland, and the Northern Region, Upper East Region and Upper West Region of the Gold Coast to form Ghana. Ivory Coast gained independence on August 7, 1960. Akan subgroups and ethnic identity. The Akan people comprise the following subgroups: Ashanti, Abe, Abiji, Abur, Ajokru, Ahafo, Alanta, Akwapam, Okwamu, Akai, Akyem, Aladian, Anik, Aon, Apollo, Asin, Ati, Avatime, Avikam, Baul, Brong, Trokosi, Karumenti, Tankayara, Ebri, Hotai, Ivalu, Fante, Kwahu, Mbato, Ndiuka, Nzema, Sefwi, and Wassa. The identity of an Akan nation or ethnicity is expressed by the term Akan. The Akan word man, which forms the second element in this expression, has a meaning much of community, town, nation, state. It has been translated as Akan land. Akan language. Akan refers to the language of the Akan ethnic group, and the Akan language in which was and is the most widely spoken and used indigenous language in the Ghana. Akan is officially recognized for literacy in Ghana, at the primary and elementary educational stage CAR Euro 12 level, and studied at university as a bachelor degree or master's degree program. The Akan language spoken is the predominant language in the western, central, Ashanti, eastern, Brong-Ahafo regions of Ghana. A form of Akan Diuka is also spoken in South America, notably Suriname, French Guiana, Guyana and Jamaica, with the Akan language coming to these South American and Caribbean places through the transatlantic trade, and Akan names and folktales are still used in these South American and Caribbean countries. With the present state of technology, one can listen to live radio broadcasts in Akan from numerous radio stations and receive mass media and public broadcasts in Akan from numerous multimedia and media broadcasting. Akan is studied in major universities in North America and United States, including Ohio University, Ohio State University, University of Wisconsin-Madison, Harvard University, Boston University, Indiana University, University of Michigan, and the University of Florida. The Akan language has been a regular language of study in the annual Summer Cooperative African Languages Institute program, and the Akan language is regulated and administered by the Akan Orthography Committee. Akan has some unique linguistic features like tone, vowel harmony and nasalization. Culture. Akan culture is one of the traditional matrilineal cultures of Africa. Akan art is wide-ranging and renowned, especially for the tradition of crafting bronze gold weights, using the lost wax casting method. The Akan culture reached South America, Caribbean, and North America. Some of their most important mythological stories are called Anonsum, literally meaning the spider story, but in a figurative sense also meaning travelers' tales. These spider stories are sometimes also referred to as Nyankomsem, words of a sky god. The stories generally, but not always, revolve around Kwaku Anons, a trickster spirit, often depicted as a spider, human, or a combination thereof. Elements of Akan culture also include, but are not limited to, concepts of Akan philosophy and inheritance. These are the basic concepts of Akan philosophy and inheritance: Abuja Euro, what an Akan inherits from his mother; Ntooro Euro, what an Akan gets from his father, but one does not belong to a Ntooro. Instead one belongs to one's Abuja; Sunsama Euro, what an Akan develops from interaction with the world; Kra Euro, what an Akan gets from own yame, matrilineality. Many but not all of the Akans still practice their traditional matrilineal customs, living in their traditional extended family households. The traditional Akan economic and political organization is based on matrilineal lineages, which are the basis of inheritance and succession. A lineage is defined as all those related by matrilineal descent from a particular ancestress. Several lineages are grouped into a political unit headed by a council of elders, each of whom is the elected head of a lineage or euro, which itself may include multiple extended family households. Public offices are thus vested in the lineage, as are land tenure and other lineage property. In other words, lineage property is inherited only by matrilineal kin. Each lineage controls the lineage land farmed by its members, functions together in the veneration of its ancestors, supervises marriages of its members, and settles internal disputes among its members. The political units above are likewise grouped into 8 larger groups called Abuja, Aduana, Igona, Asakiri, Asini, Asana, Brechuo, Akaona and Oyoko. The members of each such Abuja were united by their belief that they are all descended from the same ancient ancestress. So marriage between members of the same group is forbidden, a taboo on marriage. One inherits, or is a lifelong member of, the lineage, the political unit and the Abuja of one's mother, regardless of one's gender or marriage. Members and their spouses thus belong to different Abujas, with mother and children living and working in one household, but their husband further living and working in a different household. According to one source of information about the Akan, a man is strongly related to his mother's brother but only weakly related to his father's brother. This must be viewed in the context of a polygamous society in which the mother-child bond is likely to be much stronger than the father-child bond. As a result, in inheritance, a man's nephew will have priority over his own son. Uncle-nephew relationships therefore assume a dominant position. The principles governing inheritance, generation and age are that is to say, men come before women and seniors before juniors. When a woman unregistered trademark S brothers are available, a consideration of generational seniority stipulates that the line of brothers be exhausted before the right to inherit lineage property passes down to the next senior genealogical generation of sisters' sons. Finally, it is when all possible male heirs have been exhausted that the females may inherit. Certain other aspects of the Akan culture are determined patrilineally rather than matrilineally. There are 12 patrilineal Ntoro groups, and everyone belongs to his or her father's Ntoro group, but not to his family lineage and abusua. Each Ntoro group has its own surnames, taboos, ritual purifications and forms of etiquette. A person thus inherits one's Ntoro from one's father, but does not belong to his family. A recent book provides an update on the Akan, stating that some families are changing from the above abusua structure to the nuclear family. Housing, childcare, education, daily work, and elder care etc. are then handled by that individual family, rather than by the abusua or clan, especially in the city. The above taboo on marriage within one's abusua is sometimes ignored, but clan membership is still important, with many people still living in the abusua framework presented above. Akan influence. Elements of Akan culture can generally be seen in many geographic areas. Specific elements of Akan culture are especially seen in neighboring West African peoples and some Central African populations. Akan culture has also been historically important in the New World, where Akan names are or were common, for example among the Cro-Magnons of Jamaica, and the descendants of the Okwamu in St. John. Kofi, the leader of the 1763 slave revolt and violent revolt against the Dutch people in Guyana, was an Akan. Akan names. Akan given names. Akan's system of giving names to their Akan children is unique. Each Akan child is sometimes given his/her own personal name irrespective of the surname of the Akan father. The Akan first names are usually derived from the day an Akan child was born. For an example, an Akan male born on Monday is called Kwadwo Kojo, derived from the day Monday, which is called Doda in the Akan language, the language of Akans. An Akan female born on Monday is called Abva. Here are the rest of the days and their various names: Tuesday Benada, Kwabena for Akan males and Abna for Akan females, Wednesday Wukuada, Kwaku for Akan males and Akua for Akan females, Thursday Yewada, Yor for Akan males and Yor for Akan females, Friday Fiada, Kofi for Akan males and Afra for Akan females, Saturday Memenida, Quain for Akan males and Alma for Akan females, and finally Sunday Kwasiada, Kwasia Kwasi for Akan males and Akosua for Akan females. Sometimes an Akan baby male born on Wednesday might be called Kofi instead of Kwaku because the Akan person after whom he is named was a Kofi and not a Kwaku. Akan surnames. The Akan surnames are always given after close Akan relatives and sometimes Akan friends. Since the Akan names are always given by the Akan men, if an Akan couple receives a son as their firstborn Akan baby, he is named after the Akan father of the husband, and if the Akan baby is a female, she will be named after the Akan mother of the husband. As a result, if an Akan man called Osai Kofi, and the Akan wife gives birth to a female as their firstborn, the Akan female might be called Yordufai even if she was not born on Friday. The reason is the fact that the Akan mother of the Akan man Osai Kofi is called Yordufai. Akans usually give these Akan names so that the names of their close Akan relatives might be maintained in the Akan families to show how they cherish the love for their Akan nationality. In the olden days it was a disgrace if an Akan man was not able to name any child after his Akan father and or Akan mother, because that was the pride of every Akan home. Most of the Akan names given to Akan males could also be given to Akan females just by adding the letters or to form the female names. Some of these Akan surnames can be given to both Akan males and females without changing or adding anything. However, there are others that are exclusively Akan male names whilst others are exclusively Akan female names. Individuals of Akan origin. Among the individuals of Akan origin are Kwame Nkrumah, who started the Pan-African movement which liberated many states from European colonialism. Kofi Annan is the first black man to head the United Nations organization and was awarded the Nobel Prize. Arthur Wharton, the first black professional footballer in the world. And Paul Cuffey, who built a lucrative shipping empire and by the first years of the 19th century was one of the wealthiest men in the United States. Gallery. See also, Empire of Ashanti, Guaman, List of rulers of the Akan state of Adonse, List of rulers of the Akan states of Okwamu and Twifo-Heman, List of rulers of the Akan state of Bono-Tikiman, List of rulers of the Akan state of Dankayara, List of rulers of the Akan state of Guaman, rulers of the Akan state of Asante, rulers of the Akan state of Akiamabwakwa, Taki's War, references. Further reading. Antubam, Kofi, Ghana's Heritage of Culture, Leipzig, 1963. Kyeremorton, AAY, Panoply of Ghana, London, 1964. Mielowitz, Eva L.R., Akan Traditions of Origin, London, c. 1950. Mielowitz, Eva L.R., At the Court of an African King, London 1962. Obeng, Ernest D., Ancient Ashanti Chieftaincy, Tema, 1986. Bartle, Philip F. W., 40 Days. The Akan Calendar. Africa, Journal of the International African Institute, 48, 80–84. For the Akan, the firstborn twin is considered the younger, as the elder stays behind to help the younger out. Kent Cloth. African Journey webmaster at projectexploration.org. September 25, 2007. Efegiamfi, Kwaku, Traditional History of the Bono State, Legon, Institute of African Studies, University of Ghana. Efegiamfi, Kwaku, Bono Manzo, An Archaeological Investigation into Early Akan Urbanism Calgary, Department of Archaeology, University of Calgary Press. ISBN 0-919813-27-5, Mielowitz, E.L.R., Bono Mansu, The Earliest Center of Civilization in the Gold Coast, Proceedings of the Three International West African Conference, 118–20. External links, Kasahara Akan Dictionary, The Dictionary of Standard Written Akan, Akan Gold Trade, Akan Philosophy of the Person, Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy ISSN 1095-5054.